Alright, so I'm here. Man, I hate doing this all over again. I'm tired too. It's hot and humid here. It's like on average 90% humidity on the property here and about 90 degrees, so it's a butt kicker on doing anything. So I started this a couple days ago. The hub and everything else doing her brakes. Her front brakes are only 1 year old. Actually, it's less. Well, she said they're only a year old, but the front brakes, she's complaining about squealing on her rig. And what ended up being the squealing was her front brake squealer thing. It's a, these are only a year old. You see how thick they are? They're gone. I can't believe that she's done this much. But she works for the post office, and she works anywhere from 12 to 14 hour days most days. She hasn't had a day off in well over, I don't know how long she says. It's been a while. So if you guys have a postal worker delivering your mail, please be extra nice to them because they can't stop delivering because this fills up. And currently they put a lot of well, I don't know if a lot of them, but the one here, they put on where they can't take vacation days. All vacation days are canceled, so if they have to take a medical day off, they don't get paid for it. Which, you know, like the rest of us. But the other thing is, they've been basically working her, well, I think she's already up to like 10 days without a day off right now. I think it's going to be closer to 14 or 15. That's how much they work her, which is insane. They've worked her so much, so badly, that she really just wants to quit. But she likes the job. It's just they need to give her a couple days off. So she's changed positions, I think, to do that. So if you guys have a postal worker that's living in your house, they are probably working their butts off. It doesn't look like they're working their butts off because all they're walking around is delivering your mail. But if they're working 12, 14 hour days to get everyone's mail to them, and it's not like they can say, hey, here, I need a day off. If no one delivers their mail the day that their day off, they have double the work because the mail's always coming. It's always going down the pipeline. So yeah, thank your postal worker. I, for one, haven't really ordered much because of that. That and everything that I buy is crap, and I'll stop buying stuff. Anyhow, so we're doing brakes today. Actually, we're finishing up brakes. We've already done the 2 front brakes on that side the other night, and we're just going to do this to get it done. I'm waiting for her to get a day off so I can bleed the brakes on this. I may have to get my dad to help me bleed the brakes because it's a 2-person job unless you have a suction hose or a vacuum pump. You can do it with a vacuum pump. It's really quick and easy, but I don't have those. It'd be nice to have one of those, but you know, whatever. So, anyhow, it's hot here. I'm sure I said it. It's 90% humidity and 90 degrees. It's hot and hard to do stuff here. But I'm starting to get acclimated to it. It's taken me a couple weeks to do that, but the more I get used to, the more daytime work I can get done. Also, yeah. What? There's a bug testing you guys' lens out. Oh, Mom's here. Anyhow, I'm going to pull this off, and that's kind of what's been going on with me. We are trying to get the brake drawn off. Things are where anyhow, if you're ever going to bang on threads, you put a nut on it and bang on that nut. That will grab the threads, and you get 2 or 3 threads on there. That way you get enough threads that doesn't destroy the threads. Otherwise you risk messing up the threads, and then you're really in trouble because then you got to redress the threads. Okay, I'm going to do like I did the other side. I'm going to pull these off because I don't want to get these involved in it. Redressing. When I say redressing the threads, you're not putting a dress on them. You actually have a dye or a tap. It's dye on the outside on the threads going on the outside. It goes down and recuts the thread to make sure it's a good thread pattern for the nut to go on. Dye is the outside and a tap is the inside. And tap goes inside a bolt and rethreads it that way. But we're going to heat up the brake to break it off. And basically what I'm trying to do what I'm going to try to do is this is a separate piece and this is the other piece, and what I want to do is heat this up so it expands, and I'll break loose of this center piece and break loose of any rust that's around each one of these posts. I can't think of the proper term. Also, one other thing is I marked this with this R up here so it gets back and the balance stays in balance, so whenever you put it back together. These brakes don't look bad at all. I almost don't even want to replace them, especially this back one looks really good. So this is about the same type of brake. Let's see. It's weird. This one doesn't have as much pad on it, but it does fit in the same spot. Be about right there. Yeah. It doesn't have as much pad on it. They said they only had one. You can see it down there. It almost looks brand new on that one side. This side, yeah, this side looks okay. I don't know why that one looks a little different. Are these directional? Did I miss? Ooh, God. I didn't have an instructional book with me whenever I put these together. I was doing them late at night. These look like they're directional. That means I need to pull it apart on the other side and make sure I got the directions right. But actually, these look okay. I'm going to go ahead and replace them because I did the other side, and it's better this to do all new ones at once. let's see. Let's use this. This will make a great paint stirring stick, and I can glue it afterwards. Or not paint stirring stick. Depends on your paint. Alright, what I'm doing now is making a mess for one. Try not to make too big a mess of it. Why do I have kills out? Well, I have kills out so I can get paint on my hands and everywhere else. This lovely floor, I might end up redoing the floor. I might not, I don't know. I'm going to throw this real quick and use this sacrificial whatever. This has been running around my bus for like a year. It's nice to have because paint is I found Kills paint. Whenever I was first building out the bus, I had some subflooring I was putting in. Hadn't quite got the bus watertight, the sides watertight, and I had some that I painted with Kills and some that I didn't because I was like, oh, I don't need Kills on everything. It's just being paranoid, whatever. Well, I found that the stuff that I had painted with Kills, it had rain come into it and got my floor all soaking wet. I actually had standing water in it whenever I got to it. It was stored here, and I was working and living in Tulsa, and I was working on it here. Anyhow, I found out that the stuff painted with Kills had no mold on it whatsoever. The stuff painted with Kills, the stuff painted with Kills had no mold on it. The stuff without the Kills on it, and just plain wood, had a bunch of mold on it. It was really quite miserable. I'm highly sensitive to mold. This is also part of the reason I'm kind of doing this new sheetrock and everything else, but I still feel the mold over here. It's messing with my breathing as it is now, so I'm going to go ahead and paint the subframe with Kills all around the window, so if the window ever leaks again, it won't get moldy in here. I was really quite surprised when there's no insulation in the walls. But there's insulation around the windows. Makes sense, right? A lot of the property, or a lot of the houses in the property, this is probably the newest house. A lot of it was built probably before there was building codes, which is probably why there's headers not done right and some other stuff not quite done right. The workshop that I'm going to be working in, and I'm going to do work on there once this is done. The workshop was the original homestead house. I think the actual original homestead house, the one was actually on the lot next door, and they still had skeleton keys on everything, which was interesting enough, but we tore it down when the city was offering free tear down of old houses, so we tore it down. And really, it wasn't a problem. We used the property over there just to basically store trailers and toys like motorcycles and such. The 79 Honda that I've been driving around last year was bought brand new by my parents, actually from my mom to my dad in 1979, and I've learned to ride on that. My sister learned to ride on it. All our friends have learned to ride on it, and I sold it to a friend in 2008, bought it back in 2016 and did a full restoration on it. Right now, I think the head bolts are a little bit loose and need to be retorqued down, along with some other things I'm having trouble finding parts for. So that may or may not come back out with me whenever I go back out. But we used to ride over there all the time when I was a kid. And there's 2.5 acres over there. And not recently, but within the last 5 years, the city said, oh, you can't store trailers there on empty properties. You can't do anything with it. So they started enforcing a rule, even though we've had it there for like 20 years and not been a problem. Everything's been kept up, but they wanted a house on the property, some sort of new thing the city tries to do. So when this neighbor, our first, Frank Sr., Frank Jr. passed, over here, someone else bought it, and we bought it from them. And we've been kind of doing the we joined the two properties together, so we have a house over here, so we can store a trailer here. Kind of expensive way to store a trailer, but basically it's been handy because it gives me a place to stay whenever I'm in town. Gives my friend a place to stay. Among with it gives me a workshop. But the original homestead house on this side of the property, which is also 2.5 acres, 5 acres in all. But the original one is that gray one there. It's my workshop, and whenever I was doing the demolition on a lot of the buildings that like lean-tos added to it because people added to it, basically lean-tos. Had 3 rooms on the back. They was all very moldy, and they had actually mushrooms growing on the ceiling. Not the good stuff. Just bad mushrooms. And they drove my allergies crazy, but I found newspapers from 1927 in there. So almost 100 years old. It looked like they tried to use it as insulation. The only part that's really standing in the old house is what I'm using as a workshop. It has its own problems. I'm going to see if I can tear or gut the inside out of it, pull the floor out of it, relay a floor in it, and see if I can bring it back up to a working state as a workshop. I don't know if that's even feasible right now, but we will see. For future projects that's coming, I need a workspace. Part of the reason I'm doing this room, and part of the reason I'm working on that over there is because that's just straight out this door and over there, and that's kind of where it is. But I'm going to get back to painting all of this here, at least below the windows and probably about halfway up, because I think this is probably where my bed's going to lay in here, and I want to not be breathing mold. Well, as you can see, the echo is still here. We haven't got rid of the echo yet, but that's coming. But the rest of the room has changed quite a bit since the last time I brought you guys in. And I'm actually going to do my final sanding now, so whatever blemishes are going to be there at this point. I would like to smooth this out better, but at a certain point you just got to call it, and this is one of those points that I'm ready to call it. Like I said, my plate was fixing to get full. My plate has got full and a little bit overflow. You guys will see this, hopefully, before I leave. Yeah. I wish I could tell you, but I'm not going to tell you right now. I'm going to make you guys wait. It's horrible, I know. But you'll see it soon enough. But as far as the room goes, this is the room. It's almost done. All I got to do is sand, paint, and clean it up. And put the trim back on. I'm just going to throw the broken trim back on. It was more my thing just to have it insulated and clean. That's base to do that. Man, we had a heck of a rainstorm this morning. It's bad. Anyhow, this is going to get done. I've been spending way too much time on this, and I got some palm sanders to do it right. My hand just, I can't do it. And then I don't know if before I get back I'll get all my stuff in here or not. Things this morning has changed considerably compared to where it was. I was on the waiting game earlier. Anyhow, I'll tell you about that here in a bit. So, and if you guys actually want to know about what's going on, I put a lot of my stuff up on my Patreon page. So if you guys want to be really up to date with where I'm at, go check that out. Become a Patreon. You'll find out a lot more information of what's going on, and yeah. But enjoy the time lapse.